swoops out of the shadows, darkly of the night.
Hello, everybody. This is Jim Cummings, but you may know me better as Darkwing Duck, the terror that flaps in the night. And you are about to groove very heavily to the Nerd Effect Podcast, if you know what's good for you. Darkwing out.
Welcome out to the Nerd Effect News Show. We are in episode number 33. I am one of your nerd anchors, Dustin Vancouver, joined by my fellow crew.
Are you sure it's 33?
I am sure. I just looked.
Alright, fine. This is Michael Morgan.
Mason Ireland.
And guests Casey Thompson.
And also guest Sally Matlock.
Yay! Do we normally yay this show?
No.
Oh.
That's
Cut
okay.
all yays.
Well, we did it anyway.
That's why I didn't feel weird.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed on the first yay on the first episode we recorded. I gotta get on at least one yay. I was yay deprived. It hurt.
Well, no, what's really ass backwards is that this show usually comes out first.
Oh. That's okay.
That's okay.
Like, my new store is 2 weeks old anyway, so if it's another week old, not a big deal.
It's about a week and a half. But, okay. So we generally like to update how people have been doing. Mason and I are fresh off the heels of Cherry City Comic-Con. Oh, shit, yes, that was fun.
It was an amazing time.
And we met lots of cool people.
We already know Joni.
Joni again.
Met Joni again. We met her buddy Megan Golden. Oh my god. We got to hang out with them at a pizza joint, which was really cool.
Do you think Mike's a little jelly?
He's peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
I
Grape
couldn't afford to
even.
take the time off, so I didn't get to go. I
But-
actually helped fund them to go.
I was going to say, I would like to personally thank you on the
Yes.
air right now for donating towards that, because definitely wouldn't have been as easy as it was. So thank you.
We needed a presence there, so
Yes.
I wanted to make sure that happened.
Thank you. So yeah, we met cool people. We met one of my childhood heroes, Jake the Snake Roberts.
He was useless the rest of the day.
I kind of was in fanboy mode pretty much the rest of it. I got to talk to Nicole again, who was our gracious host.
And as usual, awesome.
Very much so. Echo Chernick, who was...
New BFF artist buddy. Yay.
Yeah, we're kind of BFFs now. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
No, but honestly, she was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
She was. Yeah, she was all about the hugs.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the reason was, but I brought her. Oh, that's right. We had an exchange. I bought her a chai tea latte for one of her prints that we talked about, the Zelda one, which flipping that reverse mode right there, but we'll figure it out. Hey, God damn, it was just a all around awesome experience. Yeah. Man, what was some of your highlights? I mean, we met some cool people, Robert Mukes and
Robert Mukes,
Jeffrey Wiseman,
Jake the Snake Robert. It was a lot of fun. Have all the interviews were great. Just in case they're out there listening, Team Eco Villains.
Yes, yes. That would be
They know.
Okay, Team Eco Villains.
Yes.
You know who you is.
Yeah. No, it was a great amount of fun. It was one of the things that was nice is that besides the interviews, which it was just really cool to do that many and have them be so successful. Like meeting the new people that were the essentially, I guess you could say, the Cherry City crowd, from Salem in that area, but also catching up with some of our local buddies who also made the trek from near-ish Boise out there too.
Yeah, Dan and Jacob.
Dan and Jacob, yeah. Yeah, because they're Dan's in Baker now, or
No, they're in Ontario.
they're Ontario now.
Yeah.
Okay, but still pretty close and definitely closer to Boise.
Yeah, Eastern Oregon to Western Oregon is still quite a trek.
Yeah. I also thought it was fun that the entire ride there through Eastern Oregon, where it's a desert, it was raining.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to Western Oregon into the influence zone of the Pacific Ocean, and it was clear and blue skies and beautiful for 3 days straight.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
It's typical.
I can't think of I would say no, I don't have a highlight because it was just a lot of fun and the whole thing was good. Nicole and her husband absolutely know how to put on a con.
Shout out to John.
Yep.
Woo!
Shout out to John also. They did an excellent job. They were gracious hosts. It was it was wonderful because the vibe and the feel of the con was all inclusive and it didn't matter. It was like everyone was allowed to do you and everyone was just fine with everyone else doing you. It was.
Nicole had a great explanation of, usually their team that is running around the con, the security, right, quote unquote, but they didn't like to call them security because it sounded too
Professional, scary,
security. So they called them
authoritarian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they called them all guardians, which was a really cool concept that she had put together. So they were very helpful and they looked out for everybody. And
yeah.
We have this hilarious video of them all dancing in between
yes.
They were doing cosplay karaoke, and then they were doing the actual cosplay contest, and between setups, they were just playing some random music. And we were at the back of the crowd, and the crew, the Guardians, just started busting a move, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
They had some wiggle
they
in
had
those
some moves.
legs.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. It was awesome.
That is one of the most brilliant turn of phrases I've ever heard, just Guardians, because it really encapsulates the feel of what the denotation and the connotation.
Yeah, I think at a con, it's a lot more appropriate than security, because do they do the job of what security are supposed to do? Yes, but
they looked out for people.
Yeah, but they're looking out for people. They're not trying to bust. They're trying to look out for people and make sure no harm happens. It's a different feeling, and it helps make a difference. It really
and us booth runners were well looked after. They offered us water several times, even though we brought our own
3-year-old water.
That's true, we did, but we also bought new water that is still unopened at my house.
Right, for next time.
Yeah,
in 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hopefully not 3 years.
It ages like a fine wine.
Yes.
Gotta
That's the part of wine that's aging is the water.
Yes.
Did you know that?
But goddamn, yeah, it was seriously. It was
and I have to say the location of our hotel was stellar.
Yes, please elaborate.
You're driving in to Salem, get onto the road, and we're on the surface street, and we pull up to the corner, telling us to take a left. On that corner is the strip club. Take the left. Right next to the strip club is the adult video store. We go under the overpass, and immediately to our left, is the adult clothing and toy store. Then we take a left past that, and on our right is the Harley Davidson shop. We were in the good part of town.
And across from the Harley Davidson shop was our hotel.
Oh.
No. Speaking of weird stuff that happens, that's kind of like that with conventions. The first convention I ever went to, I couldn't afford to go on my own. So they had a program where you could work in the convention as as a helper, as a security guard, and they also had a maid cafe. And one of my friends had a maid costume, and she was like, hey, you should sign up for the maid cafe so you'll get your ticket paid for, and then you only work 4 hours of the convention, and you get the rest of the days for free. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. And this is when I was still living in Alabama, and I had the convention was at a college. And I had a couple of people that I graduated from high school with going to that college. And so them in their drunken state, because they had just gotten back from a party, saw me walking across a parking lot in a maid outfit.
Oh.
And I grew up in a small town that has like 5,000 people, and so when I came back home for spring break, there was this rumor going around that I became a stripper. And I was doing house calls in a maid costume, all because these two guys had seen me drunk and like had recognized me as me, but like didn't know why I was in a maid costume, and it was because I was working as a maid at a convention. And so yeah.
Nice. Oh, the rumor mill flies.
I'm disappointed. We will never get any of those rumors about us.
If you ran around in a maid costume,
I would say if I see you running
guarantee
around in a
you
maid
would-
costume, I promise I will make up rumors about you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll try you know? I can't be the only one.
Well, it's actually one of the cosplays we plan on doing. Is she wants to be Pearl from Steven Universe, and she's already got all the parts for the spear, all of the clothes, and I'm going to be Stevani, which is the fusion between Steven and Connie.
Just like there was a Steven Universe cosplay at Cherry City that was insane. The bigger purple with the afro.
Oh,
Garnet?
I haven't actually seen the show, but I just
is it
don't recognize the character.
Squarish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be Garnet.
Yeah, it was like dead on, like right out of the cartoon, and I was like, what the?
Like good. It was really good.
It was nuts.
Yeah, and like some of like it was really nice because like
Shout out to the old timey Deadpool.
yes,
Dude.
the old timey Deadpool was awesome.
Dude he was in character the whole time, and it was wonderful.
Well, you finally got that good movie out there too. Oh my
Yeah.
god!
But yeah, this guy was great. He was doing like Deadpool, but he had like 1920s clothing on over it with the newsboy cap, and like the first day he had like a little billy club with him, and yeah, like total Brooklyn, New York accent the whole time. Yeah, it was great. Sunday showed up in a bathrobe with the hat on. It was
With the shower cap.
With the shower cap, yeah. It was great. Yeah, I was actually rather impressed, admittedly, with the level of cosplay. Like, I in this way, I can't, say like Joni and Megan, like, because I expect their costumes, no matter what they do, to be pretty damn awesome because they're pros. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why they judge cosplay costume contests. They don't enter them. Mm-hmm. They're pros. It's like, for, like either of them or, like Yaya or any of the big cosplayers. It's like, you did a great job. Totally expected you to. It's kind of,
Nothing newsworthy.
It's nothing newsworthy when they do an awesome job. It's like, yeah, get some photos of it. It's cool or whatever, but it's not, groundbreaking news. But like some of the cosplay was just amazing. Like some of the people did put so much time and work into their costumes.
One of the
girl, black and yellow, spoons, Pokemon.
Oh, that was dope. And she responded to our photograph on
Yeah.
on our webpage, which was really cool. The Ursula costume.
The Ursula
Holy
stated character.
Yeah, the whole time. Ursula from fucking Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
she was slightly heavy set, but I mean, and so it fit the. I like when I love it when people dress for their part. Dress for the part.
She was also.
She was like, if there was a
she
live
was also
action thing for it,
voluminous
she would
in
have nailed
certain
it.
areas of her anatomy, which made for the character, helped her with the character. I would say, but
It
So
filled
the
out
little
the
conch
costume.
it
shell
filled out the
right?
costume.
Yeah.
little conch shell.
Which is cool because the tentacles came out to the floor. They were almost like stuffed animal style, like felt animal. And so her feet were underneath the tentacles where she could walk around. So it looked like she was just kind of gliding around the con floor
Yeah.
with tentacles. It was really cool.
Yeah, and then one of the things I liked that was really subtle was there was one of the girls dressed up as Psylocke. We have a picture.
Purple LEDs.
Yeah, she had purple LEDs in the palm of her hand, like so. It's like she was getting ready to project her blast.
Her name's Ashley, and she's awesome.
There was like
She was also 80s style Wonder Woman the day before.
that was
That's
That
awesome.
was she had the poofy kind of
yeah.
hair. That same girl.
I did not realize it was the same girl.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. But there was some truly like amazing cosplays. So like, and the thing is like, certain point, like after a certain point, like the costume itself kind of ceases to be impressive, like because so many people have done them or something. Like for example, Psylocke, her costume is not that hard. It's purple spandex. But adding the LEDs totally changed the level of like just adding that simple thing made it way cooler than any other Psylocke costume I'd ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
She made it her own.
Yeah.
And that level of presentation is what I really respect about cosplayers.
Yeah.
There was also speaking of cosplayers, there's also a Mandalorian squad there.
Yeah.
There's like 4 or 5 of them, and you could actually donate money to them to raise money for some sort of research. I can't remember what it was.
It was for the Ronald McDonald House.
The what? Oh, yeah, you're right. And then if you donated $5 or more, they would actually go out into the con floor and hunt down somebody for you.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
It was a really cool idea. One of them had a Mandalorian costume, but it was done in the style of Darth Maul. So like the helmet had the spikes around it, and it was red and black, and it was fucking cool looking.
That actually is a character. Like Darth Maul ends up getting the Death Watch in Clone Wars. If you watch the Clone Wars cartoon,
I've seen a few episodes.
But like he comes back in because he didn't die when he hit the end of the shaft. He just had to get robot legs. But he comes back in, and like the Death Watch goes under his control, and they get helmets with the horns, and it's really, really cool.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. And then there's then there was the guy who was dressed up as an Eldar Warlock from Warhammer 40k.
Oh, the fucking Skeksis.
As in the Skeksis.
Oh, that was dope.
Yeah.
I got out of plastic crack a while ago. I used to have a Tau army, and I dear God, would love to do like a Tau cosplay.
Yeah. Do one of the not one of the full battle suits, but like one of the Fire Warriors.
Yeah, just a Fire Warrior.
Yeah. So, however, if you get a life-size battle suit to work, I think we can find the phone number to DARPA for you.
Oh, and let's not forget, I think they were called the Defenders of Literature.
Yes, the Defenders of Literature. Cat in the Hat, Thing 1 and Thing 2, wearing medieval armor with swords.
It was pretty awesome.
Yes.
And their capes on the back said Defenders of Literature. It was amazing. Yeah. Those guys were... I love when people just steal the show like that. Because there was people just flocking around.
Yeah, because I had just come back to the table. I didn't have the camera with me when I was out because I think I was getting food.
Well, I had the camera, and you were like, Dustin, go get a picture
right.
of
You
that.
had just come back with the camera. That's right. I saw the sketch. I ran out when I saw the because I was like, Skeksis! But, like, I was like, Dustin, Guardians of Literature, go get their picture. And he's like, who? It's like, Cat in the Hat! And he went over there and stopped him and started taking the picture. And, like, woof! 5 photographers came out of the woodwork.
Yeah, it was nuts. Like, they didn't move from that spot for, like, 15 minutes because everybody wanted their picture.
Yeah.
But...
which probably feels good because they spent how many hours just going over it for, you know.
Yeah.
And the menu was awesome.
The menu was fun.
It was done it was
all regular fare food, mind you.
Yeah, it was like hot dogs, fries, stuff like that. But they renamed everything so that it was like Ninja Turtle Dog or whatever, something like that, you know. G.I. Joe fries.
Yep. So yeah. So I think what we're saying is that Cherry City Comic Con was awesome.
Yes.
I have to say, for anyone out there who was listening and remembers it, it's what they should have done with Tree City.
Yes.
Yeah, we went there. It was all right, but it wasn't anything. But I mean, they did go out of business, so I guess it's not.
Yeah.
Gonna be
now, mind you, I don't have any inside information, but like the level of celebrity that was brought in for Cherry City, these were people know, but they weren't A-listers.
Mm-hmm.
I think when they tried to go for the A-list celebs at Tree City, that's what killed them. There was too many celebs.
Well, he said that specifically in To the Statesman.
Oh, okay.
Like he's like, we spent way too much money on celebrities, and we shouldn't have probably capitalized on that. Like, bring in Mark Shepard for a day. Like, I guarantee you that broke the bank.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And he yelled at me.
Yeah. No. But, I think...
That's another story on this podcast I've told at least 5 times.
That's why I just kept going on quickly.
Yep. Move on.
But yeah, if Tree City would have been more of the scale of Cherry City, it might have worked and survived.
I agree. Totally agree.
So, yeah.
I don't know. I felt like Tree City didn't have enough, like... It was too open, it felt like to me, because like maybe that's just me being... Most of the conventions I've went to have either been in places like the Student Union Building in Boise State, have been in kind of situations like that, or have been in hotels where they actually have like a few layers, and they have like the big open room for like all the artists and people that are selling their stuff, but then they also have like side rooms that are just completely a room by themselves where they have the people coming in.
Well, that'd be like
It's so much more isolated, but it also feels a lot more less crowded, more accessible in some
things
ways.
like the smaller cons in
All
town, like
more intimate is,
Tomodachi.
like another way I would put it personally. Like when you're in a seminar in a room.
Yeah. When you're in a situation like Tomodachi Fest or Anime Oasis, Library Comic, we did the CWI Comic Con, which was super fun. That one Nikki and I only went to. The layout was really funky, which was really my only complaint. And I think that wasn't necessarily their fault. That was just what they were restricted to, and they just kind of work with what they had. R2D2 blew up. That was fun. Like that was completely random. We were in our room and somebody walks in and says, "Anybody got a fire extinguisher in here?" R2D2 just went up in flames. Like what? And they had to evacuate. The building while they cleared it out. It was pretty funny. Even the guy who made it was laughing about it later, and turns out it was just a wire short that caused some sparks to happen, and it kind of went up. But yeah, those kind of conventions definitely have there's a certain feel to them. Like when you're trying to put on a big con, there's a different feel from that than there is on the small local level. Like the Library Comic Con that they do down at the regular library. That was our very first convention, and it was very humble. Like I guess is the best way to put it. There was a lot of people who didn't have access to like nerd culture before. People can walk in off the streets because it was free, and just kind of come in and just check it out and see what it was all about. And it's very God, there's what's the word I'm looking for? Not family oriented, but
just sort of welcome
community. It was very community driven, versus where you're trying to bring in people from all corners of the fucking country to come to this big event, which was great. And Tree City pulled that off, but they spent way too much money in doing so. So
yeah. Well, I mean, there is a place for San Diego Comic-Con and New York and Emerald City. But not every Comic-Con has to be that.
But to be fair, they all had their own starting point too.
Yes.
You start at a certain level. I mean, this was like we're gonna shotgun this shit out there and hope to God something sticks to the wall,
right,
versus just starting with something a little bit more humble and then building. Get the word out and building from there. But like I get it. I understand what was trying to be done. It was just the execution of it, the time scale that was happening. It was also kind of interfering in the same timeline as other local conventions, so people were kind of forced to choose where they wanted to go.
And a Boise State game and football.
Oh yeah, the Friday football game was not a...
Then there was that.
Yeah, even Joni mentioned that in our first interview with her at Tree City. She was like, I think there was a football game the first day, so it was kind of slow.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, it was...
Well, one thing I think that did miss is we went to, I think it was the Salt Lake Gaming Con that started up last summer, and I really wish I went and sat down with some different groups, listened to some people talk, but to be perfectly honest, I just stayed at the D&D table pretty much the entire weekend, and I couldn't find that at all at Tree City, even though we do have a lot of really good game stores. Like there was no like
Tree City. They didn't want to reach out to the gamers. It was that was part of one of the flaws with it. Really, the best for gaming right now in town is
Gem State.
There's Fandemonium and Gem State. Fandemonium for video games and RPGs. Gem State for video games and board games. I don't want to say tabletop because I don't want to include RPGs or war games when their focus is board games. The closest they get to war games is like X-Wing and Attack Wing. So, which they're halfway there to a war game, but
you don't have to spend thousands of dollars for an army.
Right. That's why I don't play 40K anymore. Malifaux War Machine, yes. 40K, no.
Yeah, I used to play that too. It's just I don't have time to sit there and paint models. I did it for therapeutic, and I didn't like going through and having to figure out specific tactics and buy specific model just to fit there. And I like proxying as an idea, but just not having them exactly the same on the table really throws me off.
Yeah, I understand.
So that was us. Mike, how you doing?
That was only like, 20 minutes?
Yeah, I know. We generally do a rundown of cons on our news show whenever we go to one.
Yeah, I know. So, I went to optometrist. Yeah, apparently I have astigmatism. So
So do I. Slightly in my right eye, I think.
So I got glasses ordered. I was supposed to get them this last week, but they haven't come in yet. So I'm just anxious.
You went to
waiting
America's
be able to
Best,
see.
didn't you?
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
What?
What did I tell you about that place?
It works.
Oh, Christ.
Obviously, it doesn't if you still haven't gotten your glasses.
It was cheap.
I went there. Not only did I get my glasses quickly, the glasses came back and they put the stigmatism in the wrong fucking eye. So when I walked out, I was kind of like, I can see clear, but I am really off balance. Like, what is going on here? It was the weirdest feeling I've ever had. And I was like, I think you guys either gave me the wrong prescription. And so they went back and rechecked their paperwork. And they're like, oh, God, they put the stigmatism in the wrong lens.
Dope.
So check through that, Mike.
Yeah, I'll check it out before I leave. I'm used to walking around without them, so not a big deal for me. It'll just be nice to, be able to,
Judge distances.
see my minis when I'm trying to paint them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's helpful.
Magnifying glass gets a
So I'm good with judging distance. It's just basically what it is there when anything further away than my arm's length, it's a double image. So I'm seeing one image and then another image behind it, and that causes it to blur. So, yeah, I mean, like, I know where all the streets are, so I don't need to worry about reading the street signs, because I can't read them.
Neither can I.
You
drove us here.
I'm wearing the glasses this time.
This time.
This time.
Yeah, so it's a good idea for me to be able to see, but it hasn't been that pressing. And it's just gotten to a point where it's like, even just like a couple years ago, I could sit on my couch, look at my screen, and read it. Now I can't do that. I have to lean forward in order to read anything. So, okay, time to get something fixed. Yeah. All right. Yeah, progress.
How are you guys? What's going on?
We're doing pretty well. I mean, we launched our podcast, Dice Welling Podcast, on April 30th, and we're still trying to tend to that. We almost hit 100 people subscribing because we've been going out and just massively plugging it. We've been sort of doing this cross promotion for a Kickstarter with that company, with that podcast, One Shot Podcast, who we just absolutely adore. And they mentioned our name on the episodes a couple times, and we're like, we're real guys.
This is happening.
Actually, that's pretty good. I mean, I don't think we hit 100 for quite a while. All right, fine. We were sitting 20s, 30s.
We're not going to steal them. They can still have them. We'll share.
Yeah.
We'll share the people.
Sharing the people.
I get holidays.
Holidays and weekends.
Did you hear that, audience at home? We're passing you around.
And you'll like it. But, and then earlier in April...
Well, knowing some of our audience. Sorry.
We'll get some converts. They don't know what they like until they try. Everything's normal until you heat it up. This is we're being recorded right now.
Yes, it is.
Nerd
Okay.
podcasting after dark.
It is dark. It's dark outside.
Oh,
Counts.
I'll be damned.
But then also I went to the Quidditch World Cup and competed because I play actual Quidditch, where it's full-on tackling, meets dodgeball, meets soccer, meets rugby. It's really, really fascinating. But with the Boise State Abraxans, which is our local team, we ended up making it to the Elite 8 out of 60 teams at the Nationals Championships. So
Nice.
we went 6-1 over the entire weekend and only got out in a single elimination round.
Nice.
Cool.
Well done.
Yeah, so that was pretty fun. Sally?
I am too here. Yes. Well, I got all A's this
Very
semester.
awesome. Congratulations.
Junior year of nursing.
Yeah, no. No, I supported the Boise State Abraxans. I watched the stream and was cheering on I did play for a long time, but I had to get out because Quidditch has changed a lot since when we first started playing to it is now. It's a lot more competitive and it's a lot more violent, I feel, in some ways. And that's why I switched out from playing all the time.
I mean, I did get a slight concussion. One of my good friends did break his wrist. Another had a fracture in his foot. I've seen somebody.
We had a person break their leg too.
And collarbone.
And collarbone.
These are not unnormal or weird sports injuries. So
yeah, it's
funny because like when I first joined, like I was considered one of the most competitive people on the team. I'm still considered a competitive female, but it was weird for me to even try to tackle people. Like people were like, "Oh my goodness, what are you doing?" And now we have like tackling practices. Like people are becoming. It's a full contact sport, and so it's kind of interesting to see where it used to be kind of more of a only nerds and really big fans of the Harry Potter series were a big part of it, and we're not very athletic, to where now we're gaining a lot more people that are athletic and not really a part of the original group.
Like, I know a lot of people on the team now have never even seen Harry Potter.
wow.
Let alone read it. It's really weird to see that dynamic shift. And like the team that knocked us out, they were called Lone Star from Texas.
Because everything from Texas is named Lone Star, yeah.
It's a beautiful aesthetic, actually. They have short shorts with just the Texas flag on them.
And they're all super athletic and great looking.
Oh my God, they are ripped like Adonis on the field, and it was almost a pleasure to just have our cheeks beaten
owned by them.
Oh my God, it wasn't even really close or competitive.
Your pecs are amazing.
Yeah, like I'm usually good at tackling people. They just like stiff arm me in the face, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, this is a decent view anyways.
This guy's really nice out tonight.
Look at those muscles ripple. Oh. No, like, these are people who, like, work out 5 times a week, like, twice a day. Just massively toned 25-year-olds.
Just out of curiosity, does BSU actually sponsor the team, or is it still considered a after...
It is a club sport.
Okay.
Well, we're not technically... We are a club who happens to be a sport. Right. But they do fund, like, we've set up a fundraiser, and they helped clear the rest of the way. They do divvy out funds for it.
Because it wasn't like that to begin with, right?
Actually, the weird thing is, most schools are not very supportive of their Quidditch teams, but they did send us a lot of funds. We couldn't make it to nationals last year, even though we were the Northwest Regional Champions, just because we couldn't afford it. BSU's club division ran out of funding, and
which I think BSU really likes us because we're very LGBT friendly. And so we're really good for promotional, hey, come to Boise State, look at how open-minded and awesome we are. And
Idaho.
In Idaho!
Well, Boise is like the one big blue dot in our fucking state.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the club system. The first come, first served, beg us now system, as it became, at least when it might have changed again, but that's how it was when I was running the anthropology club.
No,
That's
it's still
about
that way. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Some things never change.
Yeah.
So what we
Well, no, for a while we had our own money, and then they took that away. Well, they didn't take it away, but we weren't given matching funds anymore, and we had to just beg for money whenever we wanted it. So,
come on,
yeah,
you know you wanna.
Yeah.
I knew all the words to say that made it so they couldn't say no.
I had friends in the lawyer club.
I use words like opportunities, jobs, academic, words they like to hear. Visibility, yeah.
I think Mike's ready to roll with the news.
Okay.
Mike's got to be to work in the morning. All right, so are we really going to do it the lizard and the Spock this time?
Might as well.
There are a lot of us, so yeah, we probably should.
All right, so this
got that chart handy.
I do. I can pull it up again.
Okay, so while she pulls that up, this is going to be the first time that we've actually done rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock.
And you're not here, Nikki. Oh!
And she'll never hear this because she doesn't listen to
I'm gonna
her
tell
own
her.
podcast.
We even have a soundboard that has enough slots for we had it.
If she was here, she could fit
Yeah.
one more. But, oh well. Such is life.
No, see, I'm going to tell her. So
No, okay. Okay, so I think we're ready. We ready, Sally?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Ready? Here we go.
You're a rock. He technically takes the three of us out, but then
Rock crushes the lizard.
yes.
Okay.
Lizard poisons Spock.
So we're all dead.
So Dustin wins.
I won?
Yeah.
I guess if we go by this
Well, what
What
does
did the Spock
do
do?
to the rock?
Spock.
Does Spock not have an interaction with rock?
Do
Do
we
we
have
find the
to
flaw
have-
in the system?
do we need a two-tier system?
No, that'd be way too close to the American Electoral College. We don't want that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But if you guys were all Spock and you guys did your own thing, then you'd have to do your own Rochambeau.
Oh.
And then Mike and I would do our own.
I do
Or-
not see anything about what Spock
Or I
does
would
with
take on the
rock.
winner of you three.
I feel like Spock could throw away the rock, but I feel like that doesn't work either.
Here, let me-
Though I guess if you smashed in Spock's brain with
There's
the
like some
rock.
sort of like star diagram that shows.
It's a
what
pen.
beats.
It turns into a pentagram. Is
Yeah.
what it turns into.
Yeah, we might just look up that one again.
Lol.
All right, I think I found it. Spock. Yeah, Spock beats Rock. So we've just circled this. I think that's the ultimate flaw
The-
of.
Well, it's the
Well,
ultimate flaw of the game. No matter
I
how
mean,
many.
so here's the thing. If we go with him starting, then he poisons all of us. But then when he gets to Rock, the Rock crushes him. But if we start with us, then we throw away the Rock. But then the lizard still gets us.
But if we start with the rock crushes the lizard, and then we throw away the rock.
So
So nothing was solved.
no.
I guess we're gonna have to do this the old school way.
Well, I was thinking that because if we did like a
Deathmatch with prison shanks?
like a bracket system,
We're young and spry. We may have an advantage here.
I was thinking because
I
you,
actually have a knife on me at the moment.
Never mind.
I do have military training.
I got military training.
he's got Quidditch training.
Yeah.
Quidditch training.
Oh yeah. I don't have a broom on me though.
You probably have more experience than I am.
I'm just going to go back to I actually have a weapon on me.
Yeah.
I'll dead fish this one. You guys can fight it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I'm dead fishing too.
Okay.
For those of you that don't know, the dead fish, you beat it with a rock, you cut it with scissors, and you wrap it in paper. It's the automatic loss. In other words, you're conceding.
It's the equivalent of tipping your king over if you're a chess player.
Yes.
Is that what you want to do?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, boom.
Yay!
Rocked us again.
Yeah.
We should have known he was gonna throw the rock again.
How many times have you done this?
Every episode. There was one time Mason and I went back and forth like 10, 15 times. Like,
Yeah.
it just kept tying no matter what. It was
Yeah.
like our brains were in sync, and Mason's like, fuck it, you just go. I'm done.
I'm tired of this.
I can't feel my palm anymore. Ooh. Yeah.
That was a different night, Dustin. And you weren't supposed to talk about it in public.
Sorry.
Oh, man.
I was about to
Sorry.
suggest you should check itiscancer.com.
Oh no, it's cancer.
Maybe that's what it should be. Oh no, it's cancer.com.
Or just isitcancer.com and the link is oh no it's cancer.
Cancer.com. Oh no, yeah.
Okay. So, my news comes from Kotaku.com. So, this happened about a week. Okay, the news article was written on the 15th. It's now the 22nd, so
A week ago.
about a week ago.
No, literally a week ago.
Literally a week ago. Yes. I think the actual thing happened like the day or two before, though.
Oh, okay.
Because these guys actually got a statement from the convention. So Kotaku is the title of it is Comic Convention Has a Cosplay PR Meltdown. This is due to something that the Santa Fe Comic-Con put up on their Facebook page, preferably, or not preferably, but specifically by the guy who runs the whole event. So reading from the note here, it says, last week, the Facebook account for the Santa Fe Comic-Con thought it was doing the right thing by promoting local cosplay at the expense of more famous out-of-town talent. Emphasis on thought, quote-unquote. The communications meltdown was actually took place and ended up in a public relations shitstorm. Note, the convention deleted most of the Facebook comments over the weekend in a wake of the fracas, leaving archives like this to the record, to record the conversation. It all began here with a single slightly snarky post from organizer and promoter Jim Burleson. And then so he creates this like fake dialogue on the Facebook page that says, "Cosplayer, dear Santa Fe Comic Con, I am a cosplayer from the Midwest with 20,000 likes on Facebook. So would you like to fly me out, put me in a hotel, and give me a table per diem?" Santa Fe Comic Con, sorry, we don't pay to bring on cosplayers. We like to develop our own local talent and give you I can give you a table if you will market us on your website and sell $200 worth of tickets for us. Cosplayer, how am I supposed to make money if I have to pay all my own expenses? Santa Fe Comic, are we family or something? So it just kind of ended up being this whole snarky, like, stab at, like, cosplayers who were, you know, quote-unquote high-end, and it was just kind of like you were talking about communicating with tact.
Yes, being tactful.
Not a good thing. And then Kotaku goes back and says, like I said, a weird thing to bother making a public post about, but for a smaller con, it's a fair point. While some cosplayers are indeed cost famous, many aren't. Facebook followers are one thing, but an ability to sell tickets to a show in a real world is something else. Back to that tone, though, a few posters called Burleson out on it, and that's when it all went wrong. And then there's a bunch of posts, basically, where Santa Fe Comic-Con is trying to get out of it, but at the same time, they're also making it even worse by saying shit that they probably shouldn't. So...
Do they have foot and mouth disease?
Yes.
Pretty rash case.
Yeah.
The best comment that they wanted to highlight was a woman named Laura J. Vaughn, and she posted on their page. It says, "Hi Santa Fe Comic Con, I'm an actual professional social media manager. Hit me up if you're looking for someone who won't alienate and insult your audience with awful posts like this one. Happy to help." So, needless to say, they basically came out and took a huge shot at, like, cosplayers, and it just completely just kicked them in the junk. Like, I don't know. Like, I understand. See, here's the thing. So, in any professional environment, regardless of whether it's a convention or you're working at McDonald's, it doesn't fucking matter. I've worked retail and professional desk jobs basically my entire life. Mm-hmm. You don't call somebody out on a public forum and basically insult them and anybody who's in their profession like that. That's just the dumbest thing you could possibly ever do. I understand your point, but this actually kind of goes back to fucking Mark Shepard.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even think about that until now, but he basically berated me for 5 minutes when he could have just simply told me, no, Warner Brothers won't let me do that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Move on. Everybody's happy. I met Mark Shepard. Life's good.
Yeah.
No, did not go down like that. Much like this is going... Like how this went down, dude alienates some 1,000 people who are all considered cosplayers in one way, shape, or form, and basically slaps them in the face and says, "Unless you can help us scratch our back, we won't scratch yours," which is a fair point, but you don't do that on a public forum in an insulting manner.
No, that should have been a private message.
That should have been a message to whoever said it. But the thing is I'm sure that the reason he did it is because he gets hundreds of emails, I'm sure, every week. They say, "I'm such and such." So, and I think in somewhere there he explains, like, he's like, this was just my way of basically putting out a public message to everybody to just stop fucking emailing me about, because you're a cosplayer, come out here to my convention.
Well, but you don't have to do that in a facetious, condescending manner.
Exactly.
You save a forum message, you're like, "Hey, I understand, I think this is really cool," but at the same time, because we are a growing con, and this is one of our first years, and we don't have the budget for this allocated, and I'm so sorry about this. If you still want to come out, you put that link on the website. We can help foot some of that if you bring in that crowd, but here's the situation.
And if you're gonna do it in a public forum, sure shit, don't do it like that. Like,
right.
You could just say, "Hey, look, we get hundreds of emails every week about a particular group of people who want to come out and blah, 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 be a part of our show. Just understand we're a really small convention. We don't have that kind of budget. I apologize for the inconvenience. Move on. Everybody's happy."
I mean, it's kind of weird. I can see where, like, probably it started to get bad is because usually when you're, like, looking, if you're running, like, a con or you're running a business, you're looking to find people that, like, you see and you're like, "Oh, hey, I see them. I know that, like, they're big myself." Like, you'd see that and then they would come to you. But then when someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I'm this person and I'm this great and I want to do these things," and you get kind of like, "Hey, whoa, wait a minute, I don't even know who you are." Mm-hmm. And then that's where, regardless of who was in the right and who was in the wrong, which, I mean, definitely the situation was mishandled.
Mm-hmm.
very, very badly. I feel like it wasn't. I can see where it started, and I feel like they should have handled it differently, like you guys are saying.
Mm-hmm. Or hire somebody or have somebody who's in your volunteer group to just specifically respond to those kind of emails.
Yeah.
Or, something like that. Mm-hmm. Or have, Lord knows, just a straight up template, if you really wanted to get down to it, saved to a Word file that you can just copy and paste into an email, say blah, 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 blah. Sorry, move on.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But what can you do? Anyway, don't be a PR douchebag and alienate yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't have Dustin's accidental racism moments.
Is it racist?
That's also a reason we go through editing.
Yeah.
Well, it was all a part of a joke, and then it just kind of went a weird direction.
It's all a joke until it isn't.
Yes, exactly. It was never not a joke. I'm going to shut up now.
And then it just becomes fun to make fun of him.
Yep. That's when it becomes hilarious.
Yes.
Anyway, that's basically my news. Santa Fe Comic-Con, get your shit together. The sad thing is, I don't even think they ever apologized for their actions. I think they just ended up being this whole, I'm going to defend myself to the very end. So,
that's always a bad thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, if I was even a remotely semi-famous cosplayer in the Santa Fe area, and they wanted me to be at their con, seeing how they treat other cosplayers, I don't know if I'd show up to their con.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
mm-hmm.
Not that I'm saying that the cosplayers should get everything for free to show up to cons, but, it depends on your level. You gotta, low level, you're not going to get anything. You're famous enough to have booths and stuff. Yeah, you're probably going to end up paying for them at first, and then you get up to Yaya Han level. I don't think she has to pay anymore. I think she, I heard one time she pays for her own flights, but her hotels and her booths are paid for by the cons, because she's also usually judging contests and stuff like that.
Well, and Yaya Han didn't even start as a cosplayer. She started as a costumer.
Well, yeah.
That was her whole deal. She was...
That's why her costumes are so awesome.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Anyway, Mike?
Okay. Well, this will be a pretty quick one, actually. So, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago now. NASA had announced that they have found 1,284 new planets.
That's a lot of planets.
More than doubled the known number of exoplanets. They were able to do this because they came up with a new method to basically a new analysis method from the data they've already recovered from the Kepler telescope. So using these new analysis methods, they were able to actually locate more of these exoplanets.
So this may not be exactly it, but it sounds like they're just like, oh, we should try this filter, and they're like, holy crap, there's planets here.
Yeah, the way they describe it is they were able to locate breadcrumbs from their analysis of the data, and by finding these breadcrumbs, it led them to ways to basically find the other planets. I don't have the details on that. They have a link to the study if you want to go check it out. A little more in depth than I wanted to get into at the moment. But
it's going to have math in it. Warning.
Yeah, they also had, from the data they studied, they had another 1,327 promising candidates. So not confirmed, but promising candidates. While 707 were ruled out as astrophysical phenomenon. So, yeah, they're finding shit. Lots of shit.
It reminds me of how the periodic table was formed. How we had all of these spaces where we knew that there was different elements.
There had to be something there.
There has to be elements there. And we had the space on the table for it. And then finally we're starting to now find them again. We're getting the whole table filled out. Which is kind of cool.
Well, there was last year or the year before they found the
Unobtainium, right? Isn't that one of the ones they named?
That's not just the Avatar thing, is it?
Unobtainium is used in a lot of different sci-fi things as a MacGuffin, but
it's just such a painful,
stupid
name.
But they have 4 more elements which need to be named. whereas of last year need to be named still. So
like Element McElement face.
yeah, that's why you don't let
I'm
the
down
internet.
for that.
That's why you don't let the internet name your
Yeah,
elements.
Bodie
Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah.
See, I think the coolest part about that is they actually did name the submarine Subby McSubface. But
I think they vetoed it.
The British vetoed Bodie McBoatface.
So they voted it. And
It wasn't British enough.
They did name it like Sir Richard David Attenborough.
Oh, they should have named it Sir Richard Bodie McBoatface.
Attenborough the third.
But I like
Esquire.
that they like this is actually a good PR thing where they made like Subby McSubface, where it was they still had the internet thing and had it where it was something that was on the boat that isn't a legitimate process,
Yeah.
and they sort of turned that around and they still named the boat something appropriate, but the sub, something that's not in the news all the time, gets drawn that attention too. Take notes, San Jose Comic-Con.
Santa Fe.
Santa Fe.
Yeah.
It's tanking anyways, probably because of that PR crisis.
Hopefully not.
So you put it on Kickstarter and see if they want to rename the convention to Connie McConface.
Connie McConface. I think we should make a convention now, Connie McConface.
Name the convention, then whatever money we raise, you
the
put
new
on the
Idaho
show.
convention.
I guess another thing worth mentioning on the story here. So they did have hundreds of new rocky worlds, some of which that were similar in size of Earth and inhabitable zones of their stars.
Ooh.
So they're going to be
Goldilocks
giving those
candidates.
further attention.
Yep.
It's exciting.
Yay, we're going to find aliens.
Eventually.
And they're going to go, hey, stop looking at us and come destroy us.
Probably.
Dude, I just got out of the shower.
I guess it depends on are we the older of the aliens or are they the older aliens? And if we're the older ones, how did we find them first? Because that's probably not the case.
Well, honestly, if it depends on where they are galactically, because if the closer they are to the center of the galaxy, the more likelihood is that they are an older species.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if they are further out in our galaxy, then they are probably a younger species.
And we're kind of far out there.
Yes, we are. So,
We're boned.
yep, alien invasions for us. Let's just hope it goes the way I want my comedy movie to.
Lol.
Welcome to Earth.
So
See, my thought is I want to do like a bad B-rated alien invasion comedy movie where the aliens are so advanced they have forgotten about projectile weaponry. So they get here and like they have energy weapons and stuff, which will kill us. Don't get me wrong, but their armor and shielding on all their personnel and vehicles is all built to stop energy weapons. So like an average M16 will just tear through the ranks of an alien squad.
That makes
like,
so much
you
sense.
bust out an
though.
M60 or an M249, just dead aliens everywhere.
They're using combustion.
So here's
Run.
my beef. Here's my problem about alien invasion movies and sci-fi in general, is that we have all of these movies where the aliens come to Earth and like they can't be reasoned with. And you have like, it seems like the aliens are unintelligent, and like people are like, "Hey, let's be diplomatic," and the aliens are like, "Blah, blah, 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 smash." And I'm like, if the aliens are smart enough to get here, they're most likely way smarter than us,
Yeah.
and they're probably
Or at least have had a long enough jump on us in technology development.
Well, I'm just saying. The thing is that I just really hate seeing like these unintelligent alien species when we have these movies where it's like they can't figure out how to open a door. I'm like, no, that's not how that. My 3-year-old can figure out how to open a door.
Yes.
An alien species can figure it out.
Yeah.
And
Or the ones that die from water and they go to a planet that's
Water.
mainly water.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
these humans must be so extreme.
Way to
They
go, M. Night,
drink this stuff.
M. Night Shyamalan, you dumbass.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the whole concept of
I mean, the
aliens
common
getting
cold
diseases.
virus. Yeah.
I get the whole common cold. I mean, we've seen it with like
That
explorers
also
that
cuts
come.
both ways.
Yeah.
We've seen it with explorers that come and bring their own diseases to like native populations, and it's really, really bad.
Smallpox. Oh,
Yeah,
smallpox.
blankets. Oh, that's so warm.
Yeah.
And, so terrible. But
I like
yeah.
her. We're keeping her.
But no, and so that's my beef. Is I really hate to see alien movies where like the aliens are like smash and destroy. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like if they're planning on doing that, they would be like silent and like go and like really quickly do that. But
Yeah.
it wouldn't be like a hey, let's all drop down single person. And
Well, the
do
show
that.
V was like that.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
It was very
yeah.
diplomatic set. Like the alien race was actually kind of camouflaged as it's like a lizard race, but they were camouflaged as humans. Like they were wearing human skin as part of their camouflage.
It wasn't. It was
wasn't
actually
actual human skin.
Yeah,
but
it was actually a synthetic
Yeah,
thing
I
that
get
they
that.
made
I don't know why
Um,
they would specifically Buffalo Bill this.
Whoa. Hey,
because Buffalo
I thought I
Billy
needed
knew it would
that
be
shit.
extra creepy.
I apologize.
But no, in V, aliens were trying to take over, but they were trying to beat our friends first before they snapped the jaws of the trap closed.
Sort of like Young Justice.
Well, I mean, what if like the aliens had said, "Hey, we could take over the planet, or we could have a diplomatic colony."
Yeah,
It's so much easier when they work with us and to our goals that they probably won't even understand.
I mean,
with
they'd
their
probably
tiny
just
human brains.
run us in circles, anyways. So
yeah.
To be fair, as humans, we were also smash and grab. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
plus it also makes for Hollywood. Like,
Hollywood like explosions.
the only problem is with a diplomatic alien movie, you gotta find out some way to make that shit entertaining.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
it
it
would
won't
be.
work.
And I get
I mean,
that.
look at Star Trek and Babylon 5. Like, that worked out because it was very utopian. But,
Babylon 5 was not utopian.
no, well, it was diplomatic, though.
Oh, very.
But
there was a war gone.
Yeah, I mean,
So that was part of the but not everybody can pull off what Straczynski pulled off.
so those worked, but there was still explosions.
Yeah,
So, but if you're gonna, I guess it works better as a TV series than it does a movie.
probably.
But then Star Wars, it's diplomatic too. But but it's
The
also a
prequels
series
were
of
really
lightsabers.
diplomatic, and I think it was really interesting to have that world building aspect, but it did sort of fall flat on certain fronts because of that. Because
like the entertainment front.
yeah, it killed pacing, and it's one of those situations where somebody didn't listen to the people around him and didn't try to crowdsource ideas, and because oh my god, it was just sorry, I'll
like that's another podcast.
that's another.
We've done that podcast. I wouldn't mind doing it again, mind you, but I like the Rip on George Lucas podcast. It's a fun podcast.
Star Wars Redux.
Yeah. We'll have to do one after the next Star Wars movie. And the next.
There is actually one of my favorite webcomics. It's called Darth and Droids, and it's where they go through and turn the prequels. They start with the prequels into an RPG game, and explain it away through that. And like one of the things for the Gungan City is that one of the gamer's 12-year-old sisters, named Sally, made Jar Jar Binks as a character that completely didn't fit the setting, and then she completely made the visuals of the world. And they're like, "Oh, this is really cool. You've thought really, a bunch about this." And the GM's just like, "Yes, I did."
But like
Wink.
it's really cute because like it's like a 6-year-old saying, and the person has rabbit ears, and it talks with a funny accent, and like it's like totally it makes Jar Jar Binks likable with that comic series, and it's great.
Because you don't have to be like, yes, this man who is so inflated with his own ego
You're like, this is a 6-year-old girl playing this character.
makes it more bearable.
Okay.
I do like the.
Makes it understandable, at least.
There's a YouTube video teardown out there that basically tries to prove that Jar Jar Binks is a dark side Force user, which
Yeah.
is really interesting.
I would love that theory. Like I want it so bad, but also I don't really want it. It's one of those things where you kind of go, yeah, that would be awesome, but not really.
It's like I don't think George Lucas really dug into that too far.
No.
Maybe. I don't know.
He was too busy just designing this extra that was in the background for half a scene, who sold drugs and made his entire backstory.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have 3 pages of unused script on that guy, but
Yeah.
Well, at least we didn't have a young Han Solo in that movie because there was like a thing where Chewie was going to be like his father figure and Han Solo was going to be like this punk kid who like steals stuff. So I'm glad we didn't have him.
Oh. Yeah.
like a teenager Han Solo.
Yeah, like a preteen Han Solo.
Yeah, it would
Except
be
for
terrible
except
if
for
they
they've
did
already
that,
stated multiple times that Han rescues Chewie.
which is why he owes him the life debt.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why he owes him the life debt. And like they've said parts of, like, Lucas has said parts of Han Solo's backstory before. So those are canon, like, still, even after the canon wipe, because they are directly from Lucas's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Lucas has said a lot of stuff.
So do you think in the Solo movie we'll have the Han rescuing Chewie story?
I think it'll either be that will be in the very beginning of the movie or have just happened, because you have to have Chewie with Han.
Like that's your opening scene.
Well, no. What's an interesting thing is that I'm really glad that they didn't have that as the canon in the early trilogy movies, because in the actual it's Star Wars, the Clone Wars with Ahsoka actually meets Chewie.
Yeah.
In the episodes, and he's not with Han.
Right.
And there's
Chewie is
reference-
in episode 3, technically, but
he's a call out.
Yeah, it's a call out. Yeah.
Cash grab. Yoda's hanging out on him like they're buds.
Yeah.
I think the entire prequels were sort of a cash grab.
Well, they were.
But
onward.
Yes.
Midichlorians.
Fuck you.
Twice I brought this up tonight. I'm sorry. I'll go shame myself later.
I think it's funny that they're actually now like a real thing in the world. Like people actually have named stuff midichlorians now in our science.
Yep. Because
wait, that makes you happy?
I'm a medical biology person. I think that's kind of funny.
Well, it's plus it's that whole nerds are smart. Nerds go into scientific fields. Scientific fields get to name things. Ha ha.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Didn't we name a planet Vulcan recently, like in the last 20 years or so?
I think
so. It was one of the hospitable ones, just so there is that slim chance that...
Yeah,
there are Vulcans.
There's a really overly logical race out there somewhere.
It's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy where we are the precursor to the Star Trek's timeline. This could work.
Like, we just make
Except
it
for the
happen.
whole Star Trek part.
Yeah. I don't think we'll ever get
that
to
would mean our world has to come together into one unified global...
You want to talk about fantasy?
That's sci-fi in itself.
So, yeah.
Do you have a news?
Yes, I do.
We'll get to it.
Oh, okay. Which one do you want me to do first?
DLC.
All right. So, May 19th, the Far Harbor DLC for Fallout 4 dropped. It's cool. I am not through it yet because I am taking my time and relaxing and enjoying the game. I am wandering around doing side quests.
Helping another settlement.
Building yet another 3 settlements.
Now, didn't they say this is like the biggest DLC they've done?
This is the biggest DLC they've ever done.
Yeah.
And no kidding, I tried to I actually God moded. I went in, God moded a character, started at Far Harbor, started the timer on my phone, walked around the island. I don't remember the time now, but it took me like 45 minutes longer than walking around Solstheim, which is the big island DLC for Skyrim. Mm-hmm. So, no, mind you, I was just walking the coasts. I didn't try to swim out to the outer limits of how far you can go out into the oceans.
Into the invisible walls?
Into the invisible walls or anything. But, so the invisible wall could have been 5 feet from me for all I know.
Mm-hmm. But
I just walked the outskirts of the islands. And, yeah, Far Harbor's huge. And there's the best vault ever in it. I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to mention it on air, but it's the best vault ever is in Far Harbor, which, by the way, Far Harbor is more than likely supposed to be the town of Bar Harbor, Maine. And then, yeah, they put some really meta questions into some of the quests, questioning how much your character knows and remembers. To pose the question, is your character a synth? So it's kind of interesting. It's a lot of fun. The harpoon gun's okay. It's not, the gaffer hook, okay, yeah, they're fun weapons, whatever. They're nautical themed. Cool. But
now you got me thinking, do androids dream of electric rad roaches?
That's right. Do they? And then, but I have to say, out of all the just silly equipment stuff that they added in, my favorite is that I again have my 4570 government lever action rifles back from Fallout New Vegas.
Booyah.
Um, so which was just because of New Vegas' very Western theme. That was always one of my favorite weapons to use, even when I knew I needed more powerful weapons. I would always try to use that first, and then be like, okay, never mind getting out the anti-material rifle. We're going for the rocket launcher,
That's how it was with the Tomb Raider game too. It's like that bow and arrow is just like that's your go-to, man.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't matter if you're in a freaking machine gun fight. That bow and arrow.
Yep.
Done.
I was the same way in Tomb Raider too. I was like, bows for days.
It just has that cool factor.
It does. So yeah, but this, with the 4570 government, boom, watch him drop it off his shoulder, rack it out, and pull it back. Yeah, I just love my lever action rifles. So,
well, I mean, you can shoot laser guns, you can shoot all these different weapons that are super cool and high tech in any other game, but lever action rifles, you don't get those off bow and arrow.
Yeah, well, it's like with the lever action rifle, you have Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4 now, and Red Dead Redemption. That's about it. Maybe the first Call of Juarez game, because it was set in the Old West.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never played Call of Juarez, so
I can't wait for a new Red Dead game to come out.
well, something's dropping from Rockstar
I
and
know.
E3, so we'll see.
Yeah, we play Stardew Valley, which is
I've heard that's
It's addictive.
I've heard I heard it should have been named Starcraft Valley.
Yeah.
No, I chose the inventor, which is named Maru, and she's awesome, as my person to romance. And apparently, after I started romancing her, I found out the reason why no one wants to romance her is because she wants the most expensive items in the entire game, and it took me forever.
Is there a benefit to it at least if you do?
You get to have a kid.
Yeah, that doesn't look like neither of you.
At least in Fallout, the kid looks like you.
Yeah.
Well, for the time you actually get to see him. And so.
Yeah.
What's funny is that,
Because father always kind of looks the same, yeah.
I spent 4 hours on Fallout 4 creating my character, and I made it look just like me, and then I made the guy look like Casey. And I spent so much time working on it, and then Casey ended up playing his character who he did no work on. Instead of because I was like, hey, can you play mine? Because I got bored and I didn't want to play anymore because I just wanted to do the character creator. I love Skyrim. I've played the mess out of Skyrim, but with Fallout 4, I was just like, I'm okay. And I was wanting him to play those characters so I could at least see the kid or whatever. But no.
She also spent an hour and a half on my character, and she didn't realize that they were going to kill him.
I didn't realize they were going to kill him.
So she got to that point, she's just like, I spent an hour and a half on you.
No! No!
You sons of bitches.
Sons of bitches.
That's what on my first playthrough, I went through, and I didn't spend that long, but I made 2 characters, I made the husband and the wife.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is I was like, this is Fallout. So but I was mostly just wanting to play with the character creator.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and then I was like, yep, killed my wife. Okay. Because I had a feeling it was going to happen. Bethesda game.
Yeah.
You always have to start out alone.
I knew better.
And then
I should have known.
And then but that playthrough, I did I went too far in some quests and did some stuff because I found out there was a perfect good ending. So where you destroy the Institute, but then instead of having a fight, the Railroad, the Brotherhood, and the Minutemen all get along. So I had to start over to go do that ending. So on that second one, I was like, made my character. I was like, yep, looks good. Yeah, wife's fine.
Take the 2 minutes and just look at, nope, nothing there.
No, she's good, fine, whatever. What else?
I tap that, move along.
So, but yeah.
You had a second news?
Yes, I do. Tiffany, one of the members of Girls' Generation, also known as Sono Shide, happened to last week release her first solo mini album.
Yay?
Yay!
So an EP?
Yes, an EP. someone else actually knows what those different things on albums mean.
Especially from his generation.
I'm addicted to vinyl. I can't actually. I don't have a. Oh, this is me and her. She spent a while actually
Shorter
getting
hair.
this right.
Well,
So,
but haircuts can only be up to
very
so
good.
perfect.
Yeah, and she didn't realize that I was going to die.
Let me ask as a separate side question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What in the sweet Jesus is so appealing about vinyl?
I had it as art. Honestly, I kept the vinyl, like the disc, separate and safe, and then I actually just put the vinyl of like my favorite albums.
Oh, like
up
in
on
an
my
album
wall.
frame?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that I understand.
Okay. Yeah.
As long as you don't think it because it's fun to listen to because it's got the hisses and the pops on it. Mason and I had to we went off on it on a on a prior podcast. We're like, why?
It's in a digital age, though. It is nice to actually own the music, and like if your computer gets wiped out, or if your CD breaks, you lose that. I guess if your vinyl breaks too, but you
Yeah.
have to store it differently.
I was saying, if my computer gets wiped out, I just go to iTunes and re-download my catalog. I still own it.
iTunes hates me.
Everything technological hates you.
They even killed my husband.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Single
See, we actually have a friend who's the opposite of you, where he could go up to like a piece of technology, just touch it, and it starts working again.
His name's Dragon.
No, it's because I made fun of my sister for so long because my sister's one of those people, if she walks by a wireless router for the internet, it dies.
Signal just drops.
The signal drops. And so she's always one of those people, like, I would have to come into the room
She
and take
tripped over the
computer.
invisible cord.
I'd have to take the computer away from her, and then finally the internet would start loading up. So maybe it's just me and my sister are both magnetized or something. I don't know.
You respond to a certain radio frequency, and it just.
Happens to be the
upgrade
same
it.
when that 802.11b is
I was gonna say you got to upgrade to that 5.8 gigahertz.
Well, no, that's like because I make fun of I love the Dresden Files, and I don't know if you guys know this, but it's about like a wizard who's a detective.
Yeah.
And one of the things is that every so often, like the magic randomly changes what happens to like the person's body. So like with the New Age, like people affect technology, but like a few hundred years ago, it was like people got moles or like messed up with cow's milk and like made it curdle and like caused candles to flicker weird and stuff. Like it goes every now and then, and so we make a joke that I don't have any magical abilities, but I am a wizard because I just break things. And like I've been a part of like the technology team. I know how to code. I do all this stuff. I love technology, and I kill it.
Yeah.
Put a colon instead of a semicolon. Fuck.
Oh Romeo, technology. How my Romeo?
Yeah. Other way. Continue. Sorry.
Yes. But yes, Tiffany released her first solo album, and it's, of course, skyrocketed up the Korean charts because she's a member of Girls' Generation, and that's what happens. She's winning all of the TV music shows because she's a member of Girls' Generation. That's what happens. And there was actually a I can't remember which site it was on, but it was an American music site that actually gave her album the best album of the second quarter of 2014, even though the second quarter of 2014 isn't over award yet.
2016?
Or 2016, yes, thank you.
Wow, welcome to 2 years.
Yeah, whatever. Years are arbitrarily named.
We actually recorded this episode 2 years ago.
Yeah.
For all of you listening.
Yeah, this is a weird timestamp moment. Sorry to promote your podcast. It's like I hope it's still in airing.
No, I actually
I
died
hope
a year
you got
and
it
a half ago.
up. Yeah.
We're actually really famous now.
But-
Just me.
She released her solo album.
Yeah.
Everything's nice alone.
I've gotten 5 tweets about like, oh, Sergey and Meds, and I'm like, there are other characters on this show. But no, everyone loves
Hashtag
it.
Sergey. Okay, got it.
I am so happy. It is so nice. Okay.
So yes, that is my news. And yes, I've listened to the album, and yes, it is good.
Yay.
Because I know you hate
Means he's
K-pop.
gonna be.
Oh, I don't hate K-pop. It's just I think it's
What?
hilarious that you bring it up whenever you get a moment.
It's because I like Girls' Generation.
Yeah. So this means he's gonna burn a disc and bring it next time we're in the truck.
No.
Well, he was very kind. Only about 2/3 of his playlist was K-pop on the way to Oregon.
Not even close. Less than a quarter of it was.
Okay.
I'd listen to it.
Your randomizer didn't seem to think so.
The randomizer on my phone didn't think so. But when I put that playlist on there...
No, a weird canon for like our Star Wars universe is that instead of K-pop, we have Togruta pop.
Oh, Jesus.
Because I played a Togruta, and I like to also make characters by listening to a song, and if I listen to a song and I think that it fits a personality, I'll be like, this personality fits this character, and I build more stuff off of it.
Okay.
But there was a K-pop song called Red by Hyuna. And I fell in love with it for one of my characters, and she was a Togruta, and I was like, Togruta pop, it is a thing now.
Nice.
And either way.
Pop?
Which is why the Togorian not being able to be literate in other languages was so shocking to us, because we make up ridiculous stuff in canon like Togruta pop.
Yeah.
It's canon, guys. It's canon.
I hope so.
We are the canon, remember?
Somebody get J.J. Abrams on the line. Or I guess no, it's the guy who did Looper who's going to be doing the next film.
Yes.
Yeah. Turns out, what'd you say? What was the pop?
Togruta.
Turns out Togruta Pop is actually the band that's in the cantina.
Well, they would need Togrutas, I guess.
Which is Ahsoka's race.
Yeah, Ahsoka.
Yeah, they have the big...
Yeah. The
Montreal.
headdress.
Laku,
Yeah. The non-Leku.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. With the horns.
Yes.
I guess
I like Star Wars, but I'm really not that deep into it, so
It's okay.
I've never gone into extended userverse or anything like that.
which is good because it was all destroyed because they didn't.
Thanks,
care about
Disney.
It makes sense from a creative standpoint
It
because
And
there
a
is
dollar
no
bill standpoint, I'm sure.
there's no wiggle room in all that,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't really put a high level of scrutiny on who got to release in the extended universe. It was just whoever had a pen and was.
I mean, there's a
willing-
book about zombies.
Yeah, I tend to ignore that one existed. Yeah. Well, it's like, okay, the Thrawn trilogy was good, but like I do have to say a lot of people hate it when I mentioned the fact that most of the Star Wars extended universe was just trashy hyped up fan fiction.
We all start somewhere. I mean, that's how the Sherlock Holmes, a lot
Yeah.
of the stories have come about. So
Yeah, but no, it was a lot. I didn't like a lot of it because I don't know, the stories just weren't that good or compelling to me. Like,
They were in the coattails of the name.
yeah, you know, like the Thrawn trilogy. Yeah, it was good, but I wouldn't have wanted to see it as movies, quite honestly.
And it's already a story you've already lived. It doesn't bring anything new to the table. It's just working in that established canon. And like when everyone watched The Force Awakens, that was the first time those ideas were introduced. I think it was a very interesting take, and that's why we actually decided to set our podcast after The Force Awakens, because there was so much potential. And I feel like in the prequels, he was sort of pigeonholed with all these things that he had already built up and touched on in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And he had to sort of hit those notes in order to get to the next page.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like one of the things I like about like what BioWare did with
The Old Republic?
the Old Republic and the original Knights of the Old Republic games is that they were like, we don't want to mess with all the stuff that's going on around the rebellion. We're going to go 5,000 years in the past.
Yeah.
You know, because what happened then? Well, you've now done this. But does any character in the Empire or the Galactic Republic remember it in 5,000 years? No, not really, because it was from 5,000 years ago.
Might be in a textbook somewhere.
It's in a textbook somewhere, yeah. But there is someone who remembers. They're the guy who's getting a PhD in history. Mm-hmm. So...
And the students in his class, because he's really, really stressing that this is important.
Yes.
all of his questions are about it. They're
Yeah.
all true and false.
Ooh.
And it's all based on like the spelling of the Star Wars characters' names with like all the apostrophes and commas and everything. And it's like, I'm sorry, you missed it. The apostrophe comes after the O, not the L. And,
Yeah.
It's over.
You have flunked this class, you've been kicked out of this college.
No Jedi for you.
Oh. So yes, those are my newsies.
All right. Do you want to go first, or should I?
I don't care.
Rochambeau.
Okay, Rochambeau. 1, 2, 3. You go.
All right. So I
Should've chose
rock.
rock.
It's always rock.
Fight the power.
Yeah. No. So my news is a little bit of a gripe about movies, because before Civil War, at least, there was a really, really interesting trailer for a Ryan Gosling movie, with Shane Black, the guy who directed Iron Man 3, which honestly was sort of one of the weaker Iron Man movies, but was still an enjoyable movie. He made sort of a throwback buddy cop like thriller in the style of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is one of his earlier movies, called The Nice Guys. And
I saw that last night or Saturday night.
how good was it?
Awesome.
See,
I mean, it was funny. It was. My wife didn't like it as much as I did.
yeah,
But Russell Crowe's character was pretty awesome. They kind of. I wish I would have seen more of Russell Crowe's backstory, but in the way that the film was done, it made more sense to go over it kind of the way they did. But the overall concept is funny, and the strongest part was Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe's
the chemistry.
the chemistry was like on point.
Yeah, and
But-
but I've got some really devastating news, and this is my news: is it made $11.3 million in the box office, which is for a movie that was $50 million, really a huge critical flop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but critically it was adored, but it's just financially it was a flop because it's going against things like Angry Birds and Neighbors 2, movies that already sort of have an established history, and I think it's just devastating how. It was fun. It was original. It was sort of a throwback, though, right, to the sort of buddy cop, almost a buddy.
But because it didn't have Quentin Tarantino's name attached to it,
It just financially fails, and that was one of my things. Like, I wanted to go see that. I really wanted to do that, and instead, we go out and see Civil War a couple times because it is that big blockbuster.
I saw Deadpool 3 times in the theater.
She took it to me. She took me to Deadpool for Valentine's Day after already seen it once.
Which is surprisingly romantic, by the way.
It has one of the best love stories.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really
It's
does.
so sweet.
In its own way.
Happy International Women's Day.
International Day.
No.
So, I mean, it's just sort of the state of cinema, though. Movies seem to be even more polarized in their financial earnings now more than ever, and if you just can't hit that right note, and apparently we weren't looking for a buddy cop movie, but if you put any comic book character except for the Fantastic Four, it will make a successful movie.
I think people wanted to see the Fantastic Four. The problem is when they saw the Fantastic Four, it was a shit movie. And that's where it goes. They just did a bad job. I mean, they have a female character, and they're like, hey, that we're going to treat you like a scientist, and you do all this stuff, and you're really cool and everything. Make us costumes. I'm like, oh, God.
It was...
And it was actually Reed Richards who invented the material. But,
Yeah. I mean, it was all over the place.
I never saw the reboot of Fantastic Four.
yeah, I
so
did.
I had no interest.
Either because I just had I never had any interest because I had a feeling it was just gonna suck.
Yeah, I saw it on HBO Now like a couple days ago, and I was looking at it going, I kind of want to see how bad it is, but I don't really.
I mean, we're planning on
Ended up
making a
passing.
drinking game out of it at some point. But that's
Oh,
probably the
Jesus.
only way we're going to actually watch it all the way through.
Which is why I've only half watched the Avatar, or The Last Airbender, because they couldn't use the name Avatar movie, is because one of the rules was chug your drink as soon as you know this movie's going to be bad. And have you guys seen The Last Airbender? Or Avatar, The Last
No.
Airbender, the cartoon?
I've seen a few episodes of the cartoon, yeah.
You know that really beautiful cinematic opening?
Yes.
Yes.
In the movie, they had that as text. They just had the block of her talking, and it was literally a block of text, and I chugged my drink. If they can't even... Like, they set you up so beautifully, that's such a good way to show the world and how everything moves. And the entire intro was just the Katara's character. I think it was Katora or something, because they didn't pronounce any names right in that movie.
Yeah.
Just reading it out, and it was super disappointing.
No fun.
So that's my news. Art is good, but
I was going to say, to follow up on what you said, though, as far as financial flops, when you start dealing with stuff like that, I actually think back to, are you guys Kevin Smith fans at all? Yeah. I'm kind of his
enjoy
biggest fanboy at this table right now, so. But I listened to his...
He is admittedly the biggest fanboy at the table, but not by a lot. I'm really into Kevin Smith movies, too.
Well, yeah, okay. Our generation probably has a tighter connection to Kevin Smith than you guys do, but...
I really like Clerks.
Well, that's a very good start. Once you like Mallrats, then we can talk. Mallrats was like my jam.
Because you were a brat.
I was. It was like my life story. And then later Clerks became my life story because guess where I started working?
Yeah.
Jackson's for like 8 months. And then...
At least it didn't end the way Clark's did.
Yes. Yeah. But as far as the way he's working his movies now, he's now made movies like Red State and Tusk. And his movies that are coming up are like Yoga Hosers, where he gets away with making them for like $5 million. So, but then he ends up making, say, that exact same amount as Nice Guys did, 11 million. Guess what that comes out as? A success on his end.
Yeah.
So, and he still gets decent name actors in his movies just because he's become buddies with them. Like, he gets Seth Rogen in his movies, and he gets Justin Long in his movies.
Yeah.
And isn't it Johnny Depp's daughter, and like Johnny Depp is actually going to be in Yoga Hosers?
Oh, he was in Tusk. He plays Guy Lapointe. He's the really eccentric like Canadian detective from Quebec. It's a part of his.
And then Yoga Hosers is going to be
same character.
He's
still Guy Lapointe.
He's going to be the same character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's his daughter and Kevin Smith's daughter Harley are going to be in it.
It's called the True North trilogy. So all the next 3 movies that he's done the first 2. So he came out with Tusk. Yoga Hosers is coming out. And then the third movie is called Moose Jaws, which is literally Jaws with a moose. So same like whole concept of it and everything, but done with a moose, and it's set in Canada because moose.
Yeah.
And
Moose, eh?
yeah. So these 3 movies are called the True North trilogy, so they're all connected to each other in some way, fashion, or
sort of
or
like
other.
the Cornetto trilogy from.
Yeah. It's kind of like how Jay and Silent Bob are connected to all the different movies that he does. So
I did see Dogma, and that was brilliant.
Dogma was a fantastic movie. That was actually probably cinematically probably his best movie.
Yeah.
But it also got him a lot of shit and a lot of death threats because of the context.
Yeah.
But yeah. And Zack and Miri didn't quite get the.
I enjoyed it.
It was okay.
It was funny.
It was funny. Was it his best movie? No.
But I think one of his huge strengths, and one of the things I've always really enjoyed, is how they're more slice of life and like just building up the relationships between the characters, and that's really the driving point. And that and his dialogue.
He's all dialogue. He's a writer by heart, you know.
Yeah.
But
I would have loved to see his take on Superman.
Oh God, with the fucking
Nick Cage.
Nick Cage one, yeah.
Hey,
Ugh.
considering how
Did you see the concept costumes for that? Come on now, you can't tell me that was going to actually be a successful movie. He still had a fucking receding hairline.
I might have enjoyed it more than Batman vs Superman because they tried to shove 3 decent-ish films into one clusterfuck of a film.
If they had just taken some scissors and just cut pieces out completely, I think it would have actually made a better movie.
Like trippy dream sequences, maybe?
Maybe.
Which was fantastic, apparently, if you knew what they were about.
And I did, but I
didn't. Like, what the fuck is going on? Is he on an acid trip right now? What's going on?
Well, it made sense to me, but it didn't make it worth it to put it in there because it alienated a bunch of the audience who didn't know because it was a lot of really divergent storylines they were trying to shove in there, and B, it just wasn't good film. It wasn't good media, and you're here to entertain it. You know, the base level, make an entertaining movie.
Yeah.
I will tell you, though, from that movie, for some reason, it still sparked. I would still like to see the Ben Affleck Batman movie.
Oh my God, yes, he was the best Bruce Wayne and Batman.
And I also, ooh, hey.
Well, no, just like he hit the notes well on both characters, and I think overall, as a Batman and Bruce Wayne as an individual, he was able to keep the most consistent tone and the basically level of quality because Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne was flat, completely uninspiring, and his Batman was good if gruff.
Yeah, but then you have Michael Keaton,
who was a great Bruce Wayne.
Great Bruce Wayne, not so great of a Batman. So having someone be able to hit enough of the notes well enough on both halves of the character is what you really want, but
not the murder part.
Well, it was the same thing with the Spider-Man. We were talking about that recently.
Civil War. Civil War Spider-Man's
I'm
amazing.
liking how they're doing it because it is the old sarcastic Spidey.
And he's got a Brooklyn accent.
He's young. He's actually young this time.
Yeah.
He looks like a high schooler because he is high school age in real life instead of 27.
Yeah.
You got a metal arm? That's cool.
Yeah, it's just he's got the attitude for Spider-Man, and then he's also got like that nerdiness from Peter Parker, and it's really selling it on both points. And I'm super excited that I actually did enjoy the Andrew Garfield movies, but I'm sort of glad they're dead. So this kid actually
well, and it's in Marvel's hands now, which is even better.
Mm-hmm.
Even if Sony does reap some of the profits, it helps them both.
Yeah, but okay, I'm not worried about Sony reaping some of the profits so much as letting Marvel back into the mix, because they're doing really well with their movies now. Yeah, like I was really kind of at first really skeptical about the Doctor Strange movie. I mean, even I was like, okay, Benedict Cumberbatch is a good actor, but the movie can't live or die on the fact that he's a good actor. I mean, yeah, it will his being a good actor help sell the character. Good, hopefully, sure, yeah, but the whole movie can't just be about one man's acting ability. And from the way I've seen the movie going, from the trailer, I'm a little happier now. I have to say, I am less skeptical, and I'm leaning more towards excitement.
That's how I was with Ant-Man. When I first saw Ant-Man coming out, I was
actually
really
gonna go-
skeptical about
I
how it
haven't
was
seen
gonna go.
Ant-Man yet, but after seeing Civil War, I'm going to go watch Ant-Man.
Yeah, me too.
Paul
It's
Rudd
beautiful.
did such an amazing job, and it's got that humor between characters because it has some of his old con buddies, and I think Michael Pena is one of them, and he steals the show. And it's
Let him see it.
yeah, we'll let you see him, but
Spoilers?
it's one of my favorite Marvel movies. Like just over the top, like it was just so much fun.
Well, the Guardians of the Galaxy, like nobody expected that one to be
Exactly.
fucking amazing, and
Yeah.
it ended up being exactly that.
What was their claim to fame? Oh, they took the X-Men on a trip one time. Originally, was their big claim to fame. When they went to the Shi'ar Empire, yeah.
Good times for everybody.
I mean, they made Star-Lord a more likable character, though, in the movies as well.
They did, yes.
Because he's like an asshat in the comics.
Yeah.
But
But Rocket was always cool because he's a raccoon that talks shit and has guns. Which, I don't know, it's just kind of fun.
we've all wanted to accomplish a D&D character like that.
Yeah.
But it's really cool because their success and just that name brand they built up from making consistently good movies, they're allowed to do that weird stuff like
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, like the Luke Cage series that's coming out on Netflix. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched season 2 of Daredevil yet. I don't know why.
We haven't finished.
I
season
still
one.
haven't watched Jessica Jones yet.
Jessica Jones is really good.
It is.
Fucking David Tennant steals that fucking show.
He's terrifying.
Tennant's an amazing actor.
You are wearing a TARDIS T-shirt.
Yeah.
My license plate says Doc Who on it. So, yeah.
However, he's not my favorite Doctor, but I am a Matt Smith fan out of the new Doctors.
We
So-
actually really like Christopher Eccleston. I think his run was cut a little short, but
Well, he wanted out.
yeah,
that
So-
wasn't his fault. It was his fault. It was his choice. But
Yeah.
nothing was gonna stop him. He did it as a favor, right? It wasn't that
Yeah,
like
he basically did it as a favor.
to Russell T Davies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why he's like, I want nothing to do with Doctor Who, because like he did it as a favor to his buddy. He didn't really ever want anything to do with it, Whereas like that's one of the reasons like I think like
Matt Smith
Matt
does such a
Smith
good job.
and Tennant do, because I'm not going to knock any of them. I think they're all of them have been good actors, but like I think that like over their entirety of their runs, like there was more heart in their performances because they really wanted to be the Doctor because they grew up on Doctor Who. Yeah, I saw that.
I'm
All right.
scared.
And I
She
think
shouldn't have a panda costume.
No, she shouldn't.
I think Sally does have some news as well, and we should probably get.
Yeah,
her
we
back.
should probably
Quick
get that.
news before we
Yeah.
we have been here for a while. Okay.
Yeah.
So my
That's usually
news,
how these go.
my news starts off with a cute little story. So I was actually going to tell this in like one of the other podcast things we were talking about. But my news comes on the tech side. About languages and the connection between people and how we're growing as a civilization and becoming more unified. Because it used to be Google Translate was like the new big thing. I've actually used it when I was working in the hospital to talk to a Spanish-speaking patient when I couldn't get the translator on the line. And it was very helpful. But now we're coming to this
But
new
it's
thing.
off. Ever so slightly.
Ever
most
so
of the time.
slightly, it's off. You have to like put it through a few times before
Yeah.
you actually get it the right.
Yeah, but that's not going to matter in medical
Yeah.
situations.
Either way, there's this new technology piece called the Pilot, and it is you put it in your ear and it translates languages. Right now it has English, French, Spanish, and I think Italian as their main languages, and they're working on getting more languages put into the system so that it'll translate in real time. Now, I mean, people are saying, "Oh, don't count your chickens before they hatch," because it's not completely like we've seen videos of people talking with it, but it's not like completely perfect yet. And like saying people using the English language, me and Casey were talking about this the other day, is how like we have there, and there, and like all these other words.
And
that
we
are
know
like,
it by context, which one you mean. Yeah.
yeah, but will a robot get the context all the time? And especially when it's listening to us and learning about that. But the funny story I have about this that kind of correlates with kind of nerdy geekdom is I was reading the story about these two people that fell in love. And the woman spoke French and the guy spoke English, but the one language they did have in common was Klingon. And
I'll be goddamned.
Yeah.
yeah, and so they at a convention they met each other, and for the next 2 months of their relationship, they only spoke Klingon to each other because they didn't know each other's languages, and eventually they got to the point where they could start communicating to each other. But I think it's super cute because language really connects us to the people that we want to get to know. And as our world's continuing to grow and we're getting these translation devices that are doing it in real time, we're finally seeing that connection start to be bridged and
Yeah.
people coming together from all walks of geekdom and life, and it's awesome.
We're gonna see a story similar to that in the future, I'm sure, but next time it'll be in Dothraki.
Yeah.
It's coming up there. Actually,
So,
we've had that.
also for the nerd connection there, to help out a little bit, for those of you who've read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that means we invented the fucking Babelfish. I'm just
Yeah,
going to put
and
that
they
out
missed
there.
a total marketing opportunity on
they
that.
should have named it Babel.
Well, there's already a
That
translated
probably.
name.
Oh, that makes sense. And I probably would actually make if they named it Babel. I think the religious groups might get a little
Yeah.
freaked because it's Babel.
Yeah.
But I like Pilot, though it's hard to look on Google right now because they're like Pilot. Pilot's like
Too common of a word.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
almost
it's
too
too common.
generic.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could go to like IFL Science or Kotaku or something
well,
and find
if
it.
you like search up Pilot and you search language translation, like it'll come up. But if you just look up Pilot, you'll get like airplane pilot and
Yeah.
stuff like
Or
that.
the gas company.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yes. So we're working on Babelfish. Yes.
Only they don't have to be jammed into your ear.
Well, take some of the fun out of it.
I can see this being used by the military though, because we use a lot of translators right now,
Right.
and it's always like one of those questions of is the translation going through properly? And I would love to see a system like this being used in the military when it actually gets better.
Yeah. Well, it has to get.
It has to get way better.
Yeah. For
Well, also-
any major purposes,
Mm-hmm.
it's because from what I've heard, I've heard about this, and from
Mm-hmm.
what I've heard about its translations, is they're pretty good. Like, you could sit down and like
Mm-hmm.
talk about the weather or order food type things, but
Communications and
in-depth
nuance.
communication is still
Yeah. And
not quite there. Just like Google Translate, in-depth communication is not quite there.
well, I mean that's like how our cell phones were a few years ago. Is
Yeah.
that they weren't very good. They lasted for maybe 2 hours, and like it took you 20 minutes to perform a good text message, and now we are able to send text messages like super quick.
Oh,
Yeah.
T9 word.
How I don't miss T9.
I had predictive text on my cell phone, and I like every now and then when I would get bored, I would just start entering words into the predictive text, and so I got super fast. And my little flip phone, I could text people like crazy.
I miss my Samsung A920. I think it
You
was-
had that thing forever.
I loved that phone so much.
All my phones were trash.
I have a Samsung.
That's what do I. I mean, I haven't diverted far from there, but
Yeah. Like, Samsung.
I think all so far all its phones on the table are Samsungs.
I do have a Galaxy, so
Okay, yeah, so.
Close enough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
yours has the
no,
same button
no.
look.
Galaxy.
Galaxy.
Galaxy. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, we're all Samsung.
and Note 5. Oh, see, now you know you're at a table with true nerds when everybody's got a Samsung.
Yeah.
Samsung wins the
This makes the best.
take
Yeah.
note,
And I've got
Mickey.
Poros on mine.
Well done.
You eye
League.
whore.
Yep.
I love it.
I saw that earlier.
They're so cute.
Nobody's listening to me.
I've got anger issues from League.
Yeah, what?
Anger
League
issues
does
from
not
League.
promote anger
Oh.
issues. It just
It promotes
changes your
salt.
personality into someone else that is a very angry person that you don't know, and then after you stop playing for a couple of hours, you wonder where that other person went and what they did with your body in the meantime.
Nah, it was always there with me.
Kind of harkens back to that tossing the D20 across the room.
Yeah.
See,
I'm still surprised I have not chucked a mouse out my window yet.
Well, that's why you don't buy wireless mice.
That's true.
See, actually, we've never really gotten into a true fight before, except for over the game Monopoly.
Well, you do realize the whole point of the game Monopoly was to show people the futility of capitalism.
Yeah. But, so here's
Especially
how
amongst
this fight
family members.
started. Is that we decided to play Monopoly, and we played an off-brand Monopoly. It was like called Legitimopoly or whatever. And it was about like the century. Maybe it was called Centuryopoly. I don't know. Yeah. But Casey offered a guy that was playing with us the opportunity that if he stood up in his chair, because we were in a public place, and did a dance, that he would let the guy not pay the fine for landing on his boardwalk because Casey only had 2 places. And they were very...
Park Place and...
Park Place and Boardwalk. And so when I landed on it the next turn, I got up in my chair, and I did a dance, and then he's like, Sally, I'm not letting you do that. I'm like, I already did the dance. I already did it. And that was why Monopoly is banned from our apartment and our life.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because my grandparents almost got divorced over a game of chess.
Oh.
So, and once that happened, because my grandpa was so damn good, he just never let my grandma win. Like, it was just never
Well, it's a point of pride with a lot of chess masters to not let people
He never
win.
let me win, and I got second place in my 8th grade chess tournament.
Yeah.
Like 30 people.
Which is probably part of the reason you got second place was that he never let you win. So you were constantly...
But I never played him until after that.
Oh, okay.
So...
They just ran the family.
See,
but he just whooped my ass. My aunt's the same way. My Aunt Cherry, she fucking chess insanity. Like, because her dad was a master. So she kind of learned from him.
I never let her shoot the moon in hearts until she did it legitimately. Like, she kicked our butts the other day. Shooting the moon is where you get all of the bad cards, and I just kept screwing her up and pulling a card right at 1 away or 2 away. So I'd get 2 points, she'd get 24. And it's like golf where you're trying to get the low score.
Well, like, we love card games. And my family, I grew up when I was 5. I learned how to play chess. And so I love chess. And my dad did the same thing until one day I did beat him. And then I never played chess with him again. And that's how we did it.
I want to go out on a high note.
Go out on a high note. Well, it's because like my whole family is military. My biological mom was military. My dad was special forces. My stepmom just retired as a lieutenant colonel. So we have like all of like the military strategists, and like my parents are like, you go into the military too, and it's great. But we have that, but we also play a lot of card games, which is also with the military. You play a lot of spades, a lot of stuff like that. But I love board games, so I kind of went past that step of playing card games. And I became president of a board game club my first year of college. I don't do that anymore, just because the funding of Boise State's weird. But now we play a ton of board games, and that's how me and Casey we realized we were both very competitive, and we usually have to play cooperative board games now, like Pandemic and stuff. Like we actually can beat the game really quickly. We're really good at that. But we cannot. We played Catan last night, and that was fun.
I was a brat. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. It was all me. Anytime somebody gets 6 5s in a row, and I had a 10. It rolled twice in the entire game. And you're just like, statistically, how is this working out? How is this working out? It just sort of...
We rolled 12 2 times in a row. And it was great. And our friend Carly ended up winning. So either way, board games and fun and language. Be nice. Be courteous. Be tactful.
See, we're bringing it around.
Bring it around. Full circle. Well, very cool. Well, shit, we're like
way long.
Hour,
way long.
45, hour and a half, somewhere
crap.
there. But I think we'll wrap it up. Again, thanks guys for hashing it out with us again.
Yeah.
Which is gonna be weird for me to say because this will go up first. But
yeah, and if you do want to hear our voices more often, we actually do run a actual play Star Wars podcast set in the universe of After the Force of the Weekends. And it's called Dice Willing. You can find us at dicewilling.com, on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, anywhere. And we're 5 episodes in, so if you listen now, that'd be fantastic.
links in the show notes.
Yes. Yay! Yay for show notes.
Yay. In other words,
That's a fake word.
go to nerdeffect.com.
Show notes is a real word.
Show notes?
I never heard the word before we started the podcast.
Oh.
Oh,
And I've listened to other podcasts and they don't use the word show notes either, and so it was kind of weird for me.
like every other podcast has new show notes.
I don't know.
It's basically just your page for the post, and then it's like your podcast is at the top, and then the things you talk about are kind of listed in writing below, links, whatever.
Yeah.
It's usually they say description. Links are in the description.
That's for YouTube.
Yeah.
Well,
Generally,
I've got Podcast Addict, and there's a couple of them that's
use
what
description.
They use description.
Yeah.
Liars.
Not saying
Not you,
it's
but
wrong,
I'm
but
not saying it's wrong.
It's wrong. It's the show notes.
maybe it just depends on how they post it. Maybe it makes more sense for them to
Say description, maybe.
say description.
But for us, it's show notes.
Show notes. All the
Even
show
on
notes.
YouTube, it's show notes because our YouTube is just the audio with a Nerd Effect banner on it.
Yep.
You should
So-
actually do that.
We should probably put it on YouTube.
The render time's horrendous, but just do it in low res, like 640 by 360 or something like that, and it'll render quicker.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our actual show will always go up first because I'll usually post all that shit up, and then I'll start rendering the YouTube video, and then I'll post it the next day after I went to sleep and let it render overnight. So
Oh man,
But,
that means we gotta play catch up too.
you want to do the back catalog too?
Yeah, you might as well.
I sure shit didn't. Fuck you guys. You guys go back and listen to our actual show. I actually considered stop doing that because just because of I don't know, behind the curtain stuff.
Well,
But
yeah, if it gets
So
too-
anyway, let's end the show and then
Yeah.
talk about the behind the curtain stuff after.
yes. All right. Well, for the Nerd Effect News Show, we have been,
Macamogan.
Mason Ireland.
Casey Thompson.
And Sally Matlock.
and I'm Dustin Vancour, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.